morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to Colorado. No, not really. We are still in North Carolina, but the last 3-4 weeks has felt like Colorado, right?
Definitely, in the winter.
But now we have some hopes of improvement. And today we're shooting is Valentine's Day. And we are faced with a very interesting problem that we didn't have before yesterday. But it's a good problem to have, right? Behind me is a wonderful TV that Mrs. DIY bought for me as a Valentine gift here in my day room. That's how I took the room over. It's my day room. And there is a slight problem. Closer up. As you can see, the TV doesn't fit. In fact, we have it diagonally on our table. And it still doesn't fit, right? Diagonally or diagonally?
Diagonally.
Diagonally. Now, there are a couple of interesting things. We like this table. We do not want to get rid of it. We don't have a space for another table. And we really want this TV on this location, correct?
Yeah, it was purchased for this room for your enjoyment. You spend a lot of time up here, and it's kind of your retreat. Mm-hmm. And we want to make sure that it's comfortable just as much as you are comfortable in your retreat.
So, another table doesn't fit in this space, and we do not want to add furniture. And we kind of like this, we like what it is. So we're going to put our DIY powers into play, and we're going to examine solutions to solve this problem without having to build a brand new table. As always, we're going to show you every step of the way so you can actually repeat this and make your own adaptation to a table. But in addition to that, we're going to give you some insight in our thought processes, because frankly, we have no real idea what we're doing right now, right? So we deliberated at length, and now it's time for a recess, right? We're like Congress. Before a decision is made, let's get out of it. But we did deliberate it, and a couple of interesting things happen, and that's why it is a good idea to bring things you have and see what they look, right? Clearly, that's not a good solution, or is not the most attractive solution.
Right.
It is a solution, right?
For several factors. So it doesn't match the wood, which we knew, but we can make some adjustments for that if we needed. It is longer. We knew it would be longer, but then taking this and cutting it to suit the dimensions of what we didn't seem like the best idea, probably in its current size, and for something else. So we decided to try to both match the wood that we have as close as we can, make something that's a little more appropriate size, manage the task at hand with supporting.
And also look native to the table, not enough that we did, right? But in the process, we also like this look, right? We like the TV a little bit more elevated.
And storage, right?
And after today, we might build a second part to mimic that. So what is next?
Well, we did decide on a different option, and that is essentially make a top for that will be made out of wood that we can stain to the as possible. And it's going to cover it with added dimension on the side, but it'll be more like a skirt. So it'll cover any of architectural features of the table and make it look more like it was all.
And this table has seen a lot of use, but we like it. It's serviceable. There's no reason to go to the landslide, right?
Landslide is
okay.
We have measured the dimension. We know the dimension of the TV because we want a little bit of overhang so that it isn't in peril of sliding off. But it needs to be at least 48 inches for it to work and have that stability.
That measurement for you will depend on the size of your TV.
Exactly. So
don't take any measurements we give you today. These are one of the perils of DIY. When people give you measurements, that's their project that fits their needs, right? So if you wanted that dimension, absolutely make it, but it doesn't mean that this will work for you.
And so we also had to measure the depth of the table, and we have that in mind so that we know how much of a depth of buy.
And that is deep enough that we will not find a single plank that depth, so we'll have to make the top it.
Yep, so we have some considerations as to how we want to craft that to make it look attractive, and then what supplies from the store.
Absolutely. And at a later time, again, we're going to build something like this, probably in the back of the additional, right? But so we're going to go from this to this. And as you can see, it looks much more finished, right? Let's go to Lowe's. So the beautiful day in North Carolina today, and it starts feeling more like North Carolina, right? It is chilly, but it is not excruciating cold. And we are at Lowe's. We prefer Lowe's because it is closer to us and we're more used to it. Would that be accurate?
The wood is just different here.
Yeah, Lowe's and Home Depot. We do shop at Home Depot every now and then. They have different quality woods, and technically, if you wanted the best, you would go to both places, right?
Yeah.
But
So depending on what we're looking for, we might go to the other one.
right, if we don't find what we want at Lowe's, we'll go to Home Depot. What I do like about Home Depot is that you can deliver things for free most of the time, same day. And because for us it's far away, that works perfect for me. So we're going to go in and look at wood, which is what we usually do at Lowe's, right?
How far away is 15 minutes?
Yes.
Okay.
Smartassery won't get you anywhere. But we're getting the full delivery today, don't we?
Why not?
All right, folks, see you inside. So we found a couple of options. If you want to come around here, Mr. Vida. And this is what is called the project board. And this is fairly good quality. Actually, it is very good quality. It will need very little processing. But it is $40. Right? So let's go and look at another option.
Okay. What is our next option?
Our next option is this board, which is a very nice board.
This one's cracked.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So we're looking at
this kind of board, or
Okay.
that one there probably. It has to be cut in half and jointed. It's not deep enough for our project. But what is the price, Mrs. DIY?
That one is $25.
So
for
it is
one board.
it is substantially cheaper,
Yeah.
but you will not get as clean a result with this. Especially if you don't have the tools to mill, right? This will need to be biscuit jointed and will need to be very well made. And the last piece, regardless of what we use, will be this, because we want to have a little skirt. Is that what it's called? A little skirt around the whole board. So those two pieces, either one of these or one of the other ones. See how specific I am?
one of these.
On this.
One of these.
Grab a piece of wood and get going, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
But what are the pros and cons of each one?
well, this is clearly cheaper.
Okay, so expense is one of them.
It will require more processing. It will never be as smooth as the other one, because that is an S4S board. Well, it's not a board; it's a combination of boards, but
Right.
it is sanded and surfaced on four sides.
They are boards that the manufacturer has already joined together, sanded perfectly, so all of the edges, the seams, everything all blend together.
Right.
And we don't have to do the processing on that. So if
So-
somebody was looking and they didn't want to do a lot of processing,
Or you don't
that's-
have the tools
Yeah.
or the skill,
Right.
because this, as I said, will require to put two edges next to each other.
Right. Which we've done many times and
Right.
we know how to do. It's just about the processing and the time also.
Right. So this is going to be the other one will be cleaner and easier to build, but is more expensive. This one is far cheaper, about half the price, but it will be very hard, even without tool, to make it match the smoothness of the other board, right? So it depends on how much time you have, how much skill you have, the tools you have. It is up to you. We finished board because we try to keep this project in a more reasonable, more compacted time for construction, right?
Okay.
So another advantage, you were asking about advantages, but you can see this is actually wrapped around plastic, which keeps it more protected from swings of humidity, right?
And also from inadvertent scratching and other marks
Right.
that can happen in a lumberyard.
Yeah, lumberyards are perfectly safe. This is the hard part of the project. It's choosing a stain. It will be impossible, even if you had the exact stain, to match it, because it is a very old piece of furniture. It is over 10 years old, right, Mrs. DIY?
Oh, yes.
So you will not match it. It's just not possible.
But we're going to try.
But we're going to try to get as close as we can. So spend your time here to get your correct stain. So the wood, boards and trim have been purchased. And now comes the fun part, right? Cutting, hoping you won't make mistakes and hopefully everything fitting. It is always a good idea before you start working to clean your workspace. Not only it makes the space safer to work, as sawdust is rather slippery, but also it ensures you're going to get a very good result. While we always vacuum after we finish a project, even small cuts leave, as you can see here, quite a lot of residue. So always clean your workspace before you start and you will achieve a better result. I have it go behind. Lift that piece, a little bit. So after ripping the board to the correct dimension for us, which is our depth, now the next step is we are going to cross-cut the board to the correct width for us, right? And this is the process we're going to use now. Because the board is big and heavy, the sled is the safest and best way to do this cut, right?
And then we've also applied this additional support, the rolling support, so that as the board comes across the saw, it's going to be supported on the end there.
All right. Thank you. Both of you. We decided for simplicity not to make 45s. We're going to do butt joints. And in order to do that, we need a piece of material which is the same width as our skirt.
Right, so we put this here and just made sure that this is indeed the same dimension, thickness wise. And now we're gonna put that thickness at the end of the table and align
Make
it
it
right
flush.
up, nice and flush.
And then we're going to go on the other side.
Yeah, we probably want to square this to make sure it's absolutely square.
What then? Okay.
But yeah, and then we're gonna go on the other side and do the exact same thing, so we know the precise dimension to cut the length of this piece.
So what we're going to do is take the piece, butt it here, and magically have a line there. Right? Okay.
So here we're just taking off that bottom edge of this piece of 1x2 just to make sure it's a clean 90-degree cut. And then again, we will go and align it with our board and make sure that we use our storyboard to mark it correctly and get the correct length. So we've marked our board. This is the correct length for us. And gonna cut that.
Grab the extra, baby. Grab the extra from the board so we can mark it. No reason to go back and forth with it.
So now we've measured the side using the same methodology and using this in place of our
We didn't measure
storyboard. Well, we've measured using storyboards, and now we're getting ready to cut that side piece.
Test it first, honey, in case we're a little low. So that should be correct here, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And that tells us we're both square, and we can cut the next piece exactly the same dimension.
And so we'll use that piece that's already cut as the storyboard without needing to measure or mark anything else.
Right.
Now we have our two pieces.
All right, so our next step is to glue our skirt. At least that's what I call it. I'm not sure if there is an official name, but skirt is my official name. No, skirt is not my official name. Skirt is what I name it, right? So we're going to use wood glue and a little bit of brad nail to attach this.
So now we're on the second side, applying the glue and gonna line it up in the same way. You can see this one has a very great alignment with the front, comes all the way back, really good.
And the reason for the glue is not strength, it's just to prevent the skirt from separating from the main body over time as the wood moves, right? Usually the glue will not separate, so that's a good...
So that is our front. That's the one we want to make sure that it is very flush with, because then we have this board that's going to come across and be the front plate.
And in our application, I'm not going to put any in the bag, but you can if you want.
And as you might have seen in a scene before, our Ryobi has given us a little bit of some talking back, because it's very particular about the angle when it wants to shoot brad nails.
I think all brad nail guns are actually.
They are. This one I think has gotten a little more picky over time. We've had a little more finessing to get it to do what we want it to do.
And now we're going, the end is near.
This way.
That leaves a gap, that's why I was turning it.
Okay, so we're ready for that front plate, and of course we're going to put glue all along that edge that meets up with the body of that, but we're also going to put it up here because it's going to align with this upright. And again, the glue is not for strength, it's just for adhesion, holding it in place, and also providing a really nice seam for this, what will be a furniture piece.
I mean, it will make it stronger, we just don't need the strength here, you know, like.
Right, it's not for strength in this application. And as always, no expense is spared when using
No,
tools.
the most expensive.
In our shop, we use the most expensive tools available to us. Fingers.
Hey, that's pretty expensive.
It can be, for sure. So this length is a little bit more challenging because you can have some wave in the board, and so we have to make adjustments with that.
All right.
You might have your brad nails come out, but that's not a problem because you're on the
Because you have a
underside.
Dremel.
You're on the underside. You can cut those off and then sand it, and nobody's ever going to see those, and it will be all right.
When everything else fails, that takes care of it.
You've got just a little bit of roughness because this board that we picked for the trim is smooth on one side and rough on the underside. So that's that's why this is the bottom, but it's still very rough to touch. So I'm going to take that off.
Once again, we transformed our table saw to a paint stain finishing station by using just a cloth tarp. Is that what it is?
Yep.
And we're ready to finish. Again, we don't expect the finish to be a perfect match, but we hope it will be reasonably close. It looks pretty good. And if you remember, this might remind you of another project we did over 2 years, 3 years maybe ago. No, 2 years ago. And that was the cover for our burners for this house. The thought process behind it was exactly the same, and that shows you that in woodworking you can adapt ideas and builds to meet and serve a different purpose. Now, I have in mind a future build to go on top of this build, but for now we are going to finish it, and then we're going to know what stain we use and match it on the future build.
So this one's a little bit different because it does have the poly mixed with the stain. So that changes things a little bit. I think the idea is that you don't have to then follow up with poly, or maybe it's a less of a process. But in the past with the project I did, I found that it was a little harder to work with. So we're just being a little careful in what we're doing, would we say?
Yeah.
Just to see how this works and how it's going to apply. I will say that because the poly is in it, you probably are going to have to stir it. If you use one like that, you'd probably want to stir it throughout your process because the poly does settle at the bottom of the can. But otherwise, I mean, it looks like it's going on pretty well.
It is, but it's very light, and I'm going to want dark.
Yeah.
A darker finish.
For sure, to match the other piece of furniture. And that's okay. Okay, so we started using a brush over the cloth that we usually use, and why is that?
Well, I normally do use a cloth of some type to apply because I like to push it into the wood. But this particular product is poly and stain in one. And two things. The manufacturer says to apply it in a thin coat with a brush, do not wipe. And what I saw when I first started applying it was that it was wiping much of the color off and leaving just a thin film, which I really want the deep color, so I'm going to try to go with probably multiple coats. And I'm using a brush because I really don't want to wipe the stain off. What is supposed to happen next is that I do the first thin coat and then come back and do another one within several hours.
And again, because this is the poly and the stain together, throughout your process you will want to stir it to ensure that your poly and stain are staying
mixed.
Otherwise, as evidenced by my previous project, you're going to end up with a very mottled stain, and it's just not going to come out looking like you want it to. But I think overall it's got this reddish tint to it, which is what the other original furniture piece has that we're trying to match. And you're seeing that reddish here, but against the unfinished wood. And when you, I think when everything is all stained and you get that second coat on, I think it's really going to come together and be a really close match to the other existing table. So the first coat is nearly finished, and you can still see a little bit of the lightness of the wood behind the stain, but overall it is looking really nice, I think. And again, this was a specific color to match an existing piece of furniture, just to make it look more like it's all cohesive and not just something plopped on top, right?
Right.
But I do think it looks really good, and I think the second coat is really going to bring it all together.
And are we happy with it?
Yeah, definitely. You can see how much wider it is. It's got it's more stable for the VIB. You can even put a few more things on that table.
Yeah.
There's plenty of space. And I like that you can't really see the underside of it. You can still utilize the drawer and all of this.
So mission accomplished, correct?
Yes.
Yep.
And again, not something you can go and buy anywhere at any price. You want something like this, you have to make it. Certain things you simply cannot buy. Well, friends, this will be our episode for today, and we hope you enjoyed it. If you did like it, we'll appreciate a thumbs up. If you did not like it, we'll appreciate 2 thumbs down. Share, like, and subscribe. Let us know if this was an interesting build for you, and if you would like to see more like that. Things that you cannot buy in a store, but you can build yourself. From Professor DIY, Mrs. DIY, and Elpida, let's build stuff together that you cannot buy.